All right, let's call the board to order. First up on the agenda is approval of minutes from April.
Motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
On favor?
All right.
All opposed? Minutes are approved as written. Second item on the agenda. What do we have as second item? Was it the 4th of July parade recap?
We also have a bingo follow-up. I don't know if we ever actually followed up about that.
I think we touched on it.
I think you sent out an email, I think that.
Okay.
Yeah, you sent out an email. Do we know how much we actually raised in the final
Well,
amount?
I have the numbers, but as a matter of fact, they're basically numbers without estimated employee expense.
Well, we could do, we've always talked, I think we'd be good to just at least give that number and then we can update it
Yeah,
with
Okay.
anything.
Well, the net funds raised were $3,542.74.
not bad for a couple hours of work, right?
Yeah, it's usually.
And in all honesty, with Christine being here, I think. And we also didn't have as much staff there. I think you'll see that staff kind of went down quite considerably. Those costs from last year.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's just a matter, do we want to keep it for next year? I know there's people are getting aggravated towards the end. That we didn't have enough people and, I mean, not from the lack of trying, but
I mean, I would say the biggest thing that has hurt us the last few years is the VFW post. Not, I mean, that used to be 40 people strong
Mhm,
as part of the event.
yeah.
It really hasn't been the last few years. So
And we had no turnouts, right, from the VFW,
not in the way we used to in the past, where we'd have 4 tables.
right?
Yeah.
All be sitting up front in their red shirts.
And I had a meeting with them yesterday down Warminster, a couple of the veterans and the VFW, and we're trying to handle that, rectify that problem there. Get more involvement from the red shirts.
And Pine Run also, we lost any of those people that would have come over in the past because they run their own event on a regular basis.
Yeah, they weren't too receptive of us suggesting it. I mean, they said they were gonna post it, but I'm assuming that they did, but
Yeah,
I don't think it was pushed
no,
at all.
Well, why don't we talk next meeting about ideas to maybe change it up, do something else, maybe a comedy night, maybe. The other group, we're gonna do a concert.
I mean, it's a good money maker. It's just that we have to perhaps decide how we want to solicit more participation. And I mean, I don't know what else we can do. The one thing that I will tell you is that when I was handing out the flyers to certain businesses, they had received an email from us. And I think if we try to gather all the businesses, their email address, and we send them flyers, and we have them printed out for us and post
Mhm.
on their door. You know, in return, you know, it would be a good, you know, reciprocal. We try to give them as much business as possible, of course, being in our own township. But I think
The
couple,
flyer was attached to the emails.
Yeah,
so
but I'm just
whether
saying,
they
like,
choose to open it.
if we can get like all the businesses'
Mhm.
emails address and kind of personally ask, you know, in a nice email, could you post that for us? You know, help your township out, help the Veterans Committee.
Mhm.
I think that might, you know, increase some traffic. Yeah. But I mean, you know, I think the most we've ever raised was maybe what, 4,000, Mike?
I think one year almost
5,000, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Yeah,
mean, we're not too far off. I mean,
I'm-
you know,
I mean, I said it before the bingo event. I mean, the attendance is trending in the wrong direction over the last 4 years. It's continually on a decline. We have to find a way to.
saturated market. There's a
Yeah.
lot of them out there.
oh, there was one at the shrine right after.
Mhm.
Yeah, because people realize it's $4,000 $3-4 grand a night. And that's a very good fundraiser when you're considering how many hours you got put into these things. So it's still a great idea and we still make out. We might not make out as well as we used to, but
No, the other thing we can do is maybe hold it at, with Bishop's Winery, let's say. I think it might change the ambiance if you guys want to look into that. But
Yeah, I mean, that,
they have a lot of events there.
Yeah.
I mean, that, I would just say that the only difference really being, if that, I don't see a problem with doing that, but most likely we're paying for that space versus what we get at the shrines.
Well, it depends if they sell, the whole thing is that we'd have to see if it's okay for them to sell alcohol, not us, but they would sell, they would make a basically,
Yeah, basically the ticket for the bingo and then it's cash bar.
Yeah.
Basically.
how Bishop's works, I can't speak for them, but most times you get the room if you buy $300 in wine. So, we could also guarantee them $300 in sales.
Mhm.
If we don't sell it, then we each take a bottle of wine home.
well, because
Guys,
I got invited to a couple events coming up.
we have to really think about how we word that.
Yeah, you're not
We
kidding.
don't want to be using taxpayer dollars and anybody taking home, that's no go.
No, you know what it
No.
means, but what I'm saying is I've got invited to a couple events. And the flyers look really nice, and to me, it's like, you have wine, you have cheese, bingo. I mean,
It's a fun night out.
it's a fun night out, maybe change the venue a little bit from the shrine.
Yeah, again, I just think we'd have to just look at that within our budget, that's all I'm saying. I don't think it's necessarily out of our budget, I'm just.
Oh, I think it's way in our budgets. I mean, we get a sponsor right there, boom. I
What
mean,
is the
it's
time frame for what were we thinking for the next bingo?
Probably do it in the spring.
Yeah, I mean.
Okay, so
I mean,
we can,
We got enough going on right now before the fall festival.
why don't we table this and can we table it until,
Well, I wanna pick, I mean, if we're gonna look at that, I wanna do that now and book a date.
that's right, we're gonna have to talk to the shrine and or bishops.
Well,
and
why
nail
don't
that.
we do this? Why don't you let me go to the winery? Okay, and I'll see what's all
Options.
required of us, all our options. And then based on that, we can vote via email. If we want to do that and pick a date.
Yeah,
Because
cause
if
I
we
would,
kept it the same on the Friday, it would be March 22nd.
April,
Or that's what I mean, I'm sorry.
April.
Then it would be April 19th, because it's the third Friday,
Yeah.
correct?
They do outside venues and they do inside venues. They do an outside venue. There's a huge tent in the back.
Mhm.
And then inside's really nice.
Yeah,
So let me find out what's required and then I'll email you guys all that. I'm sure they got some sort
and
of,
then I would also say as a note. If we switch the venue, we also have to think about how we're doing bingo itself,
yes,
because we won't have that giant projector screen, so we just have to. I'm just making a note to note down that we have to find some other way to put the bingo up on a screen or.
yeah, and maybe they do have something like that. Who knows? Let me go poke around and we'll do that.
But use that as part of your inquiry, if they have a place that we can use the screen or something like that too.
All right.
But to go back to the attendance thing, I think having Christine been here through 1 year. And I think, the way Christine's been on top of events, I think we'll see some uptick, should see some uptick next year. And I think.
No pressure.
We definitely do it for one more year and if,
pressure for me.
Well, I mean, Christine's been on top of this stuff, getting it out there a lot sooner, out into the public, so. Than we have in the past, so I think. We definitely would agree with doing it again next year and let's see what happens with the attendance.
Another idea on a fundraiser, what's your thoughts on a golf outing? Do you know what they make on those? I know you do a lot, Mike.
I'm setting one up right now.
I don't,
Does anybody know what you make on a golf outing?
Yes,
Go ahead,
I mean,
can you
you
answer?
you can make anywhere from 8,000 to 10,000 on a 70-person golf outing.
yeah, but that's. New territory, but I mean, not out of the realm of possibilities, it's something to try and do. I mean, there are plenty of municipalities that do them, I know Doylestown, I think Doylestown Township doing one.
Hatfield used to do one.
Sure, maybe we should consider. In 24 doing a golf outing in the spring. Instead of a bingo and see how we do on that, or both. Because it's gonna be another year where we don't have much going on. In 24, it'll be the fall festival. The parade. That's the only two things we have going.
I'm going to continue to err on the side of those two events are a lot of staff time and a lot of work. A golf outing will be a lot more work than bingo.
Oh, yeah,
It will be a hell of a lot more work than bingo.
Plus-
I just,
a lot more solicitations of sponsors and everything else.
and it's a different type of solicitation than. We used to, I would. Not saying, I definitely wouldn't recommend both, but I would
Okay.
say, let's try the bingo. If that doesn't work, we can look at flipping into something a little different and seeing what it does. I don't have a problem with that, but that to me would be my recommendation. Now, for us, right now, it's one or the other. We just don't have the staff to continue adding these events that we're gonna plan.
But it's a good idea, though. It's a good idea.
I think it's on the shelf and we should keep it there, but.
Right back here. I'm putting one together right now.
Okay, so we'll let Marco get back to us next meeting about. How is golf outings going? How much work it really is?
It's a lot of work. Right
Okay,
now, I'm telling you right now, it's a lot of work.
and then the second thing will be about bishops and
So, okay,
the
all
show.
right, so we agreed that maybe change the venue to Bishop,
Yeah, I think we should look into that.
Look into it, sure.
okay? And no rules, regulations or,
We're at the winery and they're selling wine, it's,
okay, but you know, township associated with, I don't know, you guys have red tape everywhere, so it's like.
I don't wanna be perceived, like, I just wanna avoid the perception that we're providing alcohol, we're doing it. If we're at a venue where somebody can walk up and buy it. And we went
Similar to
bingo at
bingo.
a bar, I'd be fine if people were drinking, just as long as
Yeah.
we're not the ones.
Right, so we
providing-
don't need the blessing from, all
No, I don't think that would be
right,
an issue,
all right,
you know.
all right, good, all right.
Um,
Hold on. We had the 4th of July recap,
We did.
4th of July. I wasn't there, so I can't comment on it.
I should have been there because I was on the phone half of the day about it, but go ahead. Somebody tell us how it went.
Did you go?
Well, I can tell you from my perspective, driving in it, and I think it was the most highly attended since I've been here. As far as people outside watching it. Christine did a great job once we finally got everything
Yeah.
moving and forward.
We had 11 floats, about 140 vehicles, and about 650 participants.
Wow.
That's pretty
Yeah,
good.
I know my family was there and obviously I had the truck and all going, but the general consensus that I got was it was a very well put together parade and it did Chalfont proud. So,
Yeah, the only thing which is always a problem every year is just we end up with gaps sometimes between walkers and drivers and. Just sometimes there are sections of the parade that get split up
Yeah, there's it's
And the train.
stuff,
and the train.
well, that'll separate some stuff. won't
Yeah.
it?
stuff happens. You can't control everything. You know, if you accomplish 80-90% of what you set your goals to, you're good.
Exactly.
There's always
Any-
something, somebody.
Anything we should change about the parade? Did we do anything wrong that you saw?
I mean, we had a post-mortem meeting with, supposed to be with all the municipalities with Chalfont Borough and stuff, and we just went over some of the things that we saw that were issues and change next year, and
Just
You
the
know.
water boy was the issue.
I gave him water. The boy had to hand it out. Don't you go there.
All right, so there's nothing we need to change. Everything went well. I mean, if we had that kind of turnout, I'm sure everything went well.
Yeah, I mean, parade wise, it did, I mean,
I thought it
Did
was
we
one of the better ones we've had since I've been here.
the VFW,
Well, yeah, that was, I can bring that up now, that I'm gonna talk to George Cressman about it later. The VFW showed up with their own junior parade marshal.
the young lady from Horsham.
What was the deal with her?
Well, we voted, the board, appoint and Park and Rec blessed a parade marshal and a junior parade marshal, but then the VFW showed up with their own junior parade marshal.
Yeah, they assumed
addition
that
to
their
the ones we
nomination,
chose.
that they assumed that the nomination meant that that was the person. They didn't realize it was just a nomination.
We probably gotta chalk that up to, there's a little
Oh,
issues in the
yeah, there's
VFW right
communication.
now. Yeah,
And me and Christine talked about.
Understatement?
It was a junior parade marshal, so not like you
Yeah,
can't have
yeah.
a couple of them.
No hurt.
okay.
No
But,
foul.
just gonna bring it up to George next year, you know, we gotta make sure we're between us and them as the staff and the VFW, plus we're communicating, just so we know and don't run into like a big surprise the day of like we did.
Yeah.
But, other than that, I mean, for the most part, other than Christine having to deal with 20, 30 people showing up that didn't even register, but showed up for the parade
With a float?
with a float,
Two
a
of them
bar.
were, yeah, two of them were floats, a lot of them were big vehicles, oh yeah. But like Marco said, you adjust, you pivot, you know, there has to be some flexibility and it worked out.
Well, you can always stage them like at Bristol Road, so when the train comes, you just say, you guys just jump right in there.
No, you just go from a parade to a conga line, everybody's in having a good time.
Just standing still.
All right, good. So there's nothing to change. Everything was good.
Yeah.
All right, next item. Fall Festival. You have to say,
What do I got to say? Okay, so Fall Festival, updates. Everything is fine with the enactors. The encampment was, we're working on a layout now for that encampment, and that'll be the next thing we have to do is a layout of the Fall Festival with the food trucks and everything else. We gotta figure out, you know, how we're gonna lay out the park. The Boy Scouts are interested and they're gonna be there. They are gonna be selling sticky buns and making sticky buns in the fire pit. Next to our encampment, which will also be doing silversmith and goldsmith work. Making beer. It's not beer yet, don't worry, township. It's only mead until it ages. So, but they will be showing people how to, there'll be a seamstress, making fabric. I forget, we have about 6 other things, but we have about 6 or 8, enactors in our encampment. They will have tents from the era and everybody will be in garb from 1723. You got the contract, okay? Everything's good there. Was there any questions?
We've been dealing with him directly, there were some, things we needed to straighten out.
Yeah, the only concern we had was the rain date cancellation paying half because of the enactors coming from Williamsburg. If it got canceled because of weather, we have to pay 50% of that contract. That was the only thing that I wanted to discuss with the board.
And we were fine with understanding if we canceled it at the last minute. You know,
Okay,
that wasn't.
2 parts that came up. One part is they get booked out years in advance. I kind of snuck in here and stole them. I don't want to end up, you know, messing them
Well,
up.
they're gonna get a deposit and if it gets canceled and they don't, I mean,
It's a non-refundable deposit.
it's a non-refundable deposit.
As long as
In
they
that
have that,
regard.
as long as you were okay with that, that was the only
But
stipulation.
My stipulation, when we talked about was, I wasn't giving them 100% of what they.
Correct. And I went
don't
back
have
to
a
them and
problem.
renegotiated the 50%. And the
Yeah.
enactors were okay with that.
Yes, and then the only question, Christina, one of the main questions Christina had, they had a clause in there that if they canceled, they kept 25%. Which we got clarification from them today was for the parade. The work they've already done for the parade, so we're reaching back out to them to say, just make sure the contract says that so we can.
Well, yeah, that and the incorrect address that
Yeah.
had to be, they were dealing with the borough as opposed to us.
Oh, okay, so I didn't do the contract for him, he did it, but the other thing is, he was asking me, Brian Cook, but I keep saying he, I'm sorry, let me. rephrase it. Brian Cook was asking for a signed contract back from the township, so they're waiting on that. So get,
He actually, I spoke with him today, and he has to, make the address change. And, a little bit of a clarification on the 25%, just putting in there that what that was for. The 25% that they would keep if there was a cancellation. He is sending me a new contract, and then it'll be signed and he'll get his deposit.
okay, and everything's okay with the tent rental, the payment, all that? There was nothing that came up, because I haven't heard anything. I'm just making sure.
No, we've made our deposit and on that and.
Okay, so,
We did that we did that months ago.
Months ago.
so the only loose ends I have, Marco, would be the layout and the food trucks.
Have you started on layout? The
We've
computerized
started on
layout?
all of it.
We've started on all of it, and again, like I keep saying, I don't think the layout's gonna be necessarily.
Well, for those guys,
Well, now that we have Bryce, we'll keep talking, they're doing through what their layout. I just need to know an area, so I know where to put them in, because we have other events that
yeah,
have
you wanted to
specific.
put them
yes.
on the left side of soccer fields, right?
Going down, it'll be on the right side, right past where you were doing the barbecue.
I mean, that's where we have the idea to put them, but we also have to account, we have box bubbles that there's water down by that one field that they need to be near, so I just have to
Yeah,
work
we have
that stuff
Tyler
out.
truck, we have,
Well, if you're okay, Marco, I'll meet with Mike one day in the field. We'll go out there and I'll just show you what I talked to the encampment and Bill May.
Yeah, we just need to
Our
know
old
the
manager.
size of their camp.
I just need to know the full size of the area they need
Yeah.
to put their stuff in, like a rectangular box.
It's like 50 by 50, but it's okay because it's
Well, that's the only
Mhm.
piece of information I need to know that
Yeah.
will help me figure out how
So,
to pigeonhole that.
the way
stuff in.
I have it in my head is tent, encampment, Boy Scouts.
I mean, 50 by
And then-
50 is not big.
No, I'll show you. There, after the 50, there's nothing. It's the ball field that's off to the left.
Well, that's where I'm getting at, how they're arranged might have to be finagled, because Bucks Bubbles has to be down near that lower field for the water.
The water's over at the other building too, and I was talking to Bill, they're gonna run a hose from the other end, cause that's where the porta potties gotta be put now, cause we have extra porta potties because of the fire, the fireworks
We
event.
don't have any extra porta potties.
Okay, so how many porta potties do we have for down there? On the end of the field, we're not doing any porta potties?
Not as bad as right now, with everything we've gone through.
I would make a motion that we,
Well, how many porta potties do we have down there?
We have the
Two.
ones that are already existing in the park and we use the building. The building will be open.
So how many do we have?
I
Like
think there's 2 or 3 in the park itself. and
right here, right
Yeah,
by the
There's
township
one,
building?
I know there's one right where the trail starts off to the
Yeah,
left.
is there any towards
And
the
I think there's
fireworks?
Some in the back. by
There's
the
some
fireworks.
by the fireworks.
there are
There's a
some
couple, I
back there,
think,
cause they're
couple,
not
right?
allowed there,
Listen,
so.
when we used to play baseball, it was a couple back there. Just
Yeah,
don't
well,
remember.
that lower field's gonna be safety fenced off for the fireworks.
Right.
As of Friday. So,
Well,
Okay.
my son was playing football, right, or practicing.
Yeah.
There were like 5 porta potties in that one section.
Here on.
Just like there was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all on this one little,
I thought
just
there's
at the
only
one
two,
football
but-
field.
Okay. My
I could be
concern
wrong,
is,
yeah, I could be wrong, but I know there was more than one for
At North
sure.
Branch.
Yeah, right
Yeah,
back
right
here,
there,
yeah.
right on the left side, yeah.
if you guys think we have enough, that's fine. That was just one of my,
I'm just going on, in the past week, for the fall festival, we've never ordered extra porta potties. There's never been a.
No, we
thing
never
we
ordered
need.
them. I think Dale's asking if there's some by where the fireworks are gonna be.
No,
Oh.
because we've eliminated. We got more money, we're gonna do a longer show, but we're not doing all the bells and whistles
Yeah, it's
around
just
it,
a
we're
show.
just. Get people in, let's do a good 20-minute,
So I would say.
No, I don't-
My personal feelings on that is if we're gonna have fireworks down there. We need to provide some porta potties down there because people are gonna have to walk all the way back to the building. Or
Or-
kids and all that and like, I don't know if it'd be a good look. I mean, run it up the flagpole.
I mean, that's something I think we can work in, but. right now, the plan wasn't, we're gonna see what we have. Cause like I said, our goal was start parking people at 7:30 and have people leaving at 9:30, so they're only here 2 hours,
Well, you know, things happen.
but.
Things happen. I'm just saying, you know, a lot of water's being drunk and all that. It's to have them go from the down the field all the way on the other side to come back up here is,
As,
especially if you have kids and, you know.
as we were concerned about parking, I'm just concerned about having a lot of people, which is a great problem if it happens. But if they have to go to bathroom, that could be a problem. So if they don't show, we're gonna say, what a waste of money that was. If they show and we need the bathrooms, we're gonna say, thank God we got them. So
I mean,
Well, that's
your
a-
township
That's
folks.
a blessing
I mean,
out
I mean,
out
again,
of my control.
a couple porta potties, if we rent them for a few hours, cannot be that much from George Allen. He's part of the township. Maybe he would want to like get some free
I'm
advertising.
not worried about that, I'm just saying, right now, the plan was. You know, it's gonna be, start parking people at 7:30, the show goes off at 9, done by 9:30, everybody's out, so they're here for 2 hours.
Okay,
You know,
I know a lot of people that cannot do 2 hours in a car. And you have to stop every 25 miles. But so I'm just saying everybody's different. But I would say if we get George Allen, maybe he wants to.
well, if we have
you
to
know.
get them, there's a perfect spot to put them right down there by the basketball court, so we.
That might be an
I'm not-
idea. He might be interested in bringing his king bathroom and having somebody, you know, promote his company. Not saying you gotta use that bathroom, but
Because he does septic remediations, he does tank pumping, he does new septic systems. So that might be an opportunity.
he does like wedding porta
If we want to
potties.
reach out to him, I mean,
We already deal with them, we have a contract with them,
well, there you go.
they're the ones that do everything in the park already.
Maybe somebody call him and ask him if he would like to do a little more of a company display. And we would ask, just bring us 2 porta potties.
I'm just gonna get the porta potties.
Okay, next subject.
I mean, if he wants to come to the fall festival, do a display, that's fine, but. I just don't think it's fair to him to try and do a display at the fall festival when it's gonna get dark for fireworks. I just don't know how much attention, I'd rather find another way to help him promote it. And with Begley and Gilmore putting as much money forward as they have for those fireworks. I don't wanna also,
Don't we have a list of sponsors on our website, right? Yeah. So
I mean,
you
we
would
give
be-
him something like that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I don't know if him coming to set up a display of the services he does at the fireworks is the right venue. To promote his business in that regard.
All right, let's not make this too complicated. That's
Okay.
just a recommendation I think we should consider.
Okay, then the other loose end was the food trucks.
Food trucks, we have, Kona Ice is secured. And they are also giving us, depending on how much they make, they will be donating back to the Veterans Committee. A percentage of their sales. We are also in talks with a company called Waffle Mamas. That is very popular in the area. One of the, now this was new to me. Apparently many of your food trucks are asking for what is called a guaranteed minimum. So they basically expect, say, for example, they expect $500 an hour to make, and they said generally that's about 125 people, you know, just buying regular things. If they make less than that, then as the sponsor of the event, we pay the difference.
Not liking that idea personally. If we had 4 trucks, that could end up really hurting us.
Well, what do you say? We had 3,000 people last year?
Yeah, but if they don't eat,
I mean, for
Well,
me, it's more along the lines of you just got a time when they show up, like you don't have them come at 10 in the morning. Maybe they show up at 11:30 and they leave by 2:30. You know,
mean,
you
we would
only
all
have them
love it.
there a couple hours.
we would all love a guarantee of return on our time and investment, but
Well, but The other option is Joe's Christine and I have talked about. The way we've been doing the events is you find a sponsor to sponsor the food truck, give them their minimum and go, you owe us whatever. We're gonna cover your minimum up front.
I already have a sponsor for the food court.
Food court, food,
That sponsored the food court. Court. In other words,
the trucks.
And that's kind of what I
yeah,
mean.
this is, we didn't have any trucks.
But
They
is it
sponsored basically the
Patty's
whole,
again?
yeah,
So I think they gave $700 or something last year.
6, I think, yeah.
So like what I mean is if it's 500.
I'm a little nervous of
you know,
committing
if
to,
we're- If we're getting 600, that'll cover. But they'll sell food, I'm not worried about it. If it's 500, we've already got 300 an hour covered in here for 2.
Well, it's gonna have to be an honors thing because we
Yeah.
don't know how much food they're gonna
yeah,
sell.
let's see your
We don't
register.
know how much they're
check.
gonna make.
Mhm.
Well, it's just like when you're going to a place like Bishop and you have an event and they say, okay, well, you can have the room for free if there's $300 in alcohol. It's kind of the same thing.
Mhm.
And that's just, so many places are doing that just because they lose out and, I mean, I had never, this was my first time with having to guarantee someone, but after some research, it is the new thing.
Boy, cause if you have 2 that have the guarantee and 2 that don't, and they talk. That's gonna be interesting.
Well, we need to make a
Okay.
decision.
Are we okay doing that?
How many food trucks?
Right now, it's just the 2. We have sent out a list. We are competing with about 3 other events in the area. And trucks have a tendency of getting booked up 9 months, a year in advance.
Do
So,
we have a, did we request to have a truck for sandwiches and burgers or hoagies or whatever? Or no?
I mean, we've sent it out to everything from pizza to,
Okay,
you know,
so our backup
every
plan
trucks
is,
that are out there.
our
I
backup
mean,
plan
we've
is to
had a
cook.
lot of, you know, a lot of people that say, oh, I'm at the Warrington Festival, oh. You know, I'm on vacation, you know, after the summer, so there's,
So the other option I can throw out for this committee is. You know, while we have the issue with Waffle Mama, at least for this year, since we're still trying to feel it out, we have Kona Ice booked. I have a friend that I can deal with he's come to one of the festivals early on. But now that I know there's a lot more people, I think he does burgers, french fries, funnel cake,
You say you
lemonade.
knew somebody that had a truck?
Did you happen to reach out to them? Was there interest? Okay,
I was utterly disappointed by her ignorance, so
okay.
just like, hey, I need some help, can you give me some guidance, and it was just. Call after call, post after post, email after email, it's just like, all right, you don't wanna deal with me, I guess.
Wow.
Well, the fallback plan is we cook burgers again. I
I
mean,
mean, that's an easy shift at the end, but I
Yeah.
can reach out to my buddy and see if he would come, he'd come in the morning, have him just set up his tent and work area in the parking lot, cone it off.
if we have 2 trucks, I have no problems with the guarantee. If we had 6 trucks. that would
and
be-
actually, if you, now, back in the day, I contacted, actually, a lot of these food trucks have like groups. So like Lehigh Valley has a group that, you know, a lot of your bigger food trucks get involved in, and they schooled me on it at length that, you know, you shouldn't have, like, for every 1,000 people, like 1 truck. Because it's not worth their while to, you know, you hear of these food truck festivals that sound fantastic if you're a person going in. Like, oh, I could get this, I could get this, but at the end of the day, those guys need to, you know, make the money, that's what they're there
Mhm,
for, so.
Yeah, well, let's
So,
keep
yeah,
hitting it, see
keep
where
it.
we're at. I mean, you guys don't have a problem with like the guarantee of minimum, right? With a couple trucks? I
Yeah,
mean,
and honestly, if it's a beautiful day and like Mike said, you know, keeping it around that lunchtime time frame, I think there's gonna be no
And there's no
problem.
cancellation policies for weather or anything like that, right?
No.
Okay. Good, yeah, I'm okay with that.
The pizza, nothing with the pizza truck,
They were booked. I reached out to them right after that meeting and she was lovely. She said, you know, I'm glad you know, they loved what I do, but I've been booked out for a year, so.
Cause we have
Is it-
waffles and ice, so we
Well,
got snacks covered.
No, the
Waffles is all
waffles,
different.
yeah, if you look up the website, it's, I can shoot it out to you folks tomorrow. It's not your typical waffles, it's everything from waffle sandwiches to, basically they make every type of like mozzarella sticks, sandwiches, all using waffles.
All that good healthy stuff.
All that good healthy
Okay.
stuff, nice and.
All right, good.
And like I said, in our back pocket, I have a friend who said he's willing to do it and. You know, he works a lot of the festivals at
Does
Peasant
he?
Village and stuff like that, and it would be our tradition, it would be much more. Again, more expensive than we've sold stuff for, is my guess, but. You know, when you're going to a food truck, if that's the only thing you're paying for that day at the event, I don't think that's.
It'd be nice to have. 4 trucks comes to mind for me. I'm just thinking, what's everybody's thought?
In my head, I was at 3.
Yeah.
But again, the person I'm recommending would do cheese curly fries, burgers, hot dogs, funnel cake, lemonade, water.
Yeah.
So can you commit it? Can you get him to commit?
Well, then. Case
Then
closed.
that's great.
I can go,
What are we gonna
well,
call
I don't
him?
wanna do the if I'm bringing him in, I would keep it to the Kona ice and that, cause he could set up something that's 2 tenths wide. And provide that.
Did
stuff.
you already commit to the waffle guy?
No, because I wanted to make sure, I mean, it's one thing if they said, yeah, sure. But considering that there was that caveat of the minimum, the guaranteed minimum, I didn't
Yeah,
wanna.
it's really just a
Without
question of,
talking.
I'm just throwing it out there, cause that's a more traditional to what we've done and what he would do.
I'm okay with that. You guys okay with that?
I
Yeah.
like Mike's idea. I don't know what we're calling it, but Mike's truck,
It's happy snack,
There you go.
Mike's Happy
To make
Snacks.
everybody happy.
but I can see if he's available, make sure, I'll confirm that with him tonight.
Okay.
I'm sure he's got a crew much larger than ours.
Well, he would come with all his own, we wouldn't need to staff anything.
There you go.
Yeah,
Boom.
and I mean, with having, you know, all these other things that you guys don't usually have, like, you know, reenactors, Boy Scouts, fireworks. You know. You can be in a different area because that will be taken care of. You won't have to be there flipping burgers.
And then he would work on the same concept, like a portion of his earnings.
Yeah, I
Okay,
mean, that's how we had a deal before.
Yeah.
You know, I think when we did it with him before is he'd give us 10 or 15% of,
yeah, let's get it done.
That's better than losing money on a food truck.
Mhm, absolutely.
you know, and in all honesty, with these food trucks, I'd be fine if they just. Work and give us a donation, whatever that donation comes out to. You know, if we establish ourselves with these people, maybe in the future, we can be a little more
Mhm.
firm-handed, but I figure if this is the first year we're doing it full bore. We kind of just gotta feel it out and see what happens. You know,
Good. And then the car show,
Mhm. We partnered with Doylestown at Dusk, Nick Lameza and I have been doing cross promotion.
is that the one that Margaret Briggs
Yes.
recommended?
They've been great. I mean, their show was. They've broken records with how attended they were, so they are going to promote our show. Moving forward, and Margaret was also at the show. Talking up ours, so I think it'll be better than the 3 cars that were there
Good.
last year.
Good.
and another idea that was floated, which I thought was a good idea. By our previous manager was, not nice cars, but crappy cars, have a crappy car show.
Is that like an ugly sweater
Yeah,
contest?
basically, like,
Yeah, that was-
have the reverse, have people bring over their
They're
jumpers.
clunkers.
That don't work and have those and.
Yeah, I'm
do a car show
sure,
with them
I'm sure
instead.
Public Works will love all that oil on the macadam and
Or the
stuff.
broke down cars, they're just stuck in the parking lot.
We can have an ugly dog contest. Well, good. Looks like it's coming together.
Also, I don't know, performances, School Rock, I've reached out to them just to get time.
Yep, I saw your email, yeah.
Babylon, has confirmed and all that.
Has School Rock confirmed the time?
No,
Not yet.
no, they haven't gotten back to me yet. I figured I'd give them until I get back after next week, and then I'll hunt them down again.
Okay.
But we also have a new group that is interested in performing. They were at our, in our parade.
Mhm.
They are called Springbrook. And they were a rock band that played on a float, and everybody loved them.
And
Okay.
where are they from?
They're local.
Sean Gorman contracted, I believe.
That, yeah, he's involved with it somehow. It was his truck.
They were on his truck.
Yeah.
So somehow there's I would assume there's some affiliation there.
Okay, good. Yeah, let me know if you don't get any response from School Rock. I'll,
Yeah, and also I
call her.
believe, and I don't know if you were on Margaret's email, but she has been. Her and Mary Beth have been talking with the Lenape Nation out in Easton.
Mhm.
So they may be able to get their drummers to do a performance also. So,
who?
and,
The Lenape Indians.
Lenapeans.
Lenape is how you say it, how they say it, yeah, how Indians say it.
Okay, good.
Yeah, that's looking good. I talked to Bob Showalter today,
How's he doing?
and he's doing very well. He sounded like Bob.
Good.
And I was, wow, very impressive. I was happy to hear he's coming back from his stroke very well. Just to let everybody know, we pretty much have the tent filled up. So it's we're doing pretty good with it. We'll readdress that after, you know what I mean? That's the other committee, but the tent's pretty much between the conversation today, we had the deed recorder of deeds. We had a bunch of people that a recovery team, Jim is his name, and it's he basically recovers artifacts from
is that the
from
gentleman that I
sites.
sent to you
Yes,
early on?
yeah, so he's actually coming to my house tomorrow to try to find stuff. And he's also going to
In your house or?
in the yards, in the property. He's looking to do yours too, Marco. We'll talk after the meeting. And you get to keep anything he finds. But he said he will help you with you know, he's gonna help with the display. He's gonna potentially do a little show and tell, which will all play into the tent thing. I don't want to get off track because that's the other committee, but yeah, it's going well. Everything's falling together nicely on that. So
Then the other thing too is I was thinking we can do, and this is geared towards the veterans, is go to these retirement communities in our township, including Chalfont, New Britain Borough. There is one, I'm not sure. But perhaps setting up transportation for their older veterans and bring them to the fall festival. You know, it'd be a nice day for them to be outside. You know, get them out of that retirement home. And since we are the Veterans Committee, I think we should do something for the veterans in our township. And I'm floating the idea out there for you guys.
and we have Bucks County. You know, the bus that goes from Doylestown to Chalfont every day. So we might be able to incorporate that.
Or they have their own transportation, but perhaps we reach out to the retirement communities, you know, and I'll volunteer to do that too. And see if they can arrange transportation, or we can arrange with Bucks County or whatever that shuttle is called. Was it the
Mhm.
Dart or something?
The Dart, right?
And bring them to the fall festival for a couple hours. I think they would enjoy that. I mean, your thoughts? It's just, I'm floating the idea out there.
It's just another community benefit. I think it's a great idea. It doesn't cost us anything, brings more people to the event.
No, I mean, I'm not like, we just have to reach out to them and see what the interest is.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as getting the Doylestown Dart.
Yeah.
We could get them as. We have the ability to commandeer one of their buses as just a shuttle for us.
Yeah.
Just run, but.
Cause I mean, you know, a lot of these folks, they don't have anybody. And it would get them out of their room, get them out of the retirement home. And, a little bit of fun.
Also, I talked to Veterans Affair, and they're probably gonna set up a booth where if your dad was a veteran, you give him the DD 214,
Mhm.
and
Very good, Dale.
and he'll research and give you your father's or your enlisted.
I saw him down in the parking lot practicing it before he walked in.
He got his numbers right.
There you go. So anyway, that's all that probably will be inside the tent, but we'll see. We'll work that out. That's to be determined.
Since you developed somewhat of a better rapport with Pine Run,
Mhm.
do you want to ask them
Yeah.
if they want to shuttle some of their veterans to for our festival?
Yeah, definitely.
And then I'll take care, I know the Four Seasons, I'll take care of that. Is it the Four Seasons?
Mhm.
Yeah, the Four
Yeah.
Seasons. And I think they're the only two retirement communities in our township, right?
That I'm aware of.
That I'm aware of, but I can do a search and see
Yeah.
if there's smaller ones that we aren't aware of, or.
But I mean, we can get a bus that would help if need be. You can get the.
Yeah. Because I really want to do more, for the veterans too, not just, parks and stuff like that. We need to help our veterans out. Especially, the Vietnam era now, they're getting up there in age.
Mhm.
It'd be fun.
When we do VA outreach events
Mhm.
and that topic comes up, there's a laundry list of liabilities that the assisted living facilities, personal care homes and all that have about taking someone out of the facility and who's responsible for them.
Mhm.
So if they live in an apartment at Pine Run, might be something different, but if they're a resident of a facility, it's a lot more difficult
Yeah,
than
that's a good point.
putting
Yeah.
them right on the bus and taking them over here. And that's why it's almost impossible for us to get veterans of that age to these events that we hold. Because there's no one can be legally responsible for them once we sign them out.
Gotcha. That's a good point. That's a
So
good
it's,
point.
there's apartments, like Normandy Farms, there's 8 levels of care. You can take them from 2 levels of care, but you can't take them from the other 6.
Okay, okay.
So
Well,
I don't know how Pine Run is, but I'm
Yeah,
sure they're
well,
the same thing. They're
We'll ask the questions and see.
Yeah,
if
I'll talk to
we can
human
get some-
resources and see what they say.
Yeah.
That's a great point. I didn't think of that. That's a great point.
See what we can do.
And then, lastly, then I'll be quiet.
Mhm.
I want us to spend a few $100s on some, wildflower seeds and put them in the middle of Veterans Park. And we do that in the fall sometimes. I'll check with the landscaping company to see when's the best time to to spread them out. But I mean, we're talking a couple $100. And, our goal at Veterans Park was to make it,
But one year it looked really nice.
yeah, a reflection. But I mean, 202 bypass has nicer flowers in our Veterans Park.
Daffodils. Yeah.
Yeah, or whatever they got. They got those beautiful flowers everywhere, orange ones
Yeah.
and wildflowers. But I think we should invest in a big bag of wild seed, and I'll check with the landscaper to see. I mean, that's something we can do.
Mhm.
We can volunteer, like we volunteer planting trees. I mean, a bunch of us could go out there and spread some seed.
We could jump on the Daffodil Day thing too and sell them in our township and put them in Veterans Park.
and or a Boy Scout for an Eagle Scout project.
That's a good one.
They're always looking for something to do for their potential Eagle Scouts.
Yeah.
And that's coming up. So that I'll talk to the chaplain and
So we just
Boy
need,
Scouts.
I looked at seeds online, these big contractor bags, they're not much. They're wildflower seeds. And I know a lot of townships and turnpike authorities, and they use them after they build a highway. They put them in the middle, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
yeah,
And every month there's a new color. So
I mean, that was the idea for the whole center. I
Absolutely.
mean, it's before me, but that was, to me,
That was the
what
idea.
that center part was supposed to be. That was in the middle of that walking
it
trail.
started we threw the seed in December, and the reason we threw the seed in December is if we didn't throw it in December, they were to cut the funding. So they just threw them out there, they never
Mhm.
took, they never took,
I think we had them for 1 year.
yeah,
I think there
1
was
year.
1 year, I remember there being good pictures from out there. But,
So,
Well, that's why we're doing fundraising for Veterans Park and veterans.
Yep.
So,
all right, I have nothing else. Anything? No?
so that's it for Fall Festival. What else?
that's it.
What about, do we wanna talk about Veterans Day or?
Yeah, Veterans
Oh,
Day
yeah,
ceremony.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, well, I can bring that up. I'm gonna stick around and talk to George tonight. Because we're working on the newsletter and I had shelved remove Veterans Day event for this year because of what happened last year. I didn't want to advertise it and then have to cancel it again. So I'm gonna talk to George tonight to see if I could see where their head's at.
Yeah.
But,
And again, if they don't wanna do it, we'll promote wherever they're doing
Yeah,
it.
Exactly.
We'll promote
And that's-
Doylestown or, you know,
that's my thought is if it's going it's going to go that way again is my guess. So I didn't wanna plan
Wait.
like we were having an event and then not. I'd rather know to support one direction or the other because our veterans are gonna go there. If they're gonna do that again this year, I have no problem with that. I just wanna know so we can.
Yeah, it's hard for us to support them if they're not here.
Well, I'll support them wherever they wanna go. I just they need to make sure they're just communicating that to us in a timely manner. So I'm gonna talk to George tonight. About that.
yeah, and I think we need to get an answer, like.
Yeah.
A yes or a no, not a maybe, like it's gonna be either a yes or a no. And you know, because we have to advertise it, we have to put in a newsletter or whatever, you know.
Like, if we're gonna do it, I wanted to nail it down tonight, so I could have Phil go back and put it back in the newsletter if we're gonna.
Sounds good to me. All right. Good job, Christine. Good job, Mike. Motion to adjourn,
Second.
all in favor? All right, all opposed? Okay, meeting adjourned.